All right. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever time frame it is for you or time zone that is. We're thrilled to have you here and thank you for joining us. Jenna, myself, and Jenna's husband Seth, we are here to teach you on some amazing stuff today. So thank you for taking time out of your day to spend some time with us on learning something that is so critical. And honestly, it just doesn't get discussed enough, especially with military families, and that is our connection. That is how we're uploving ourselves, is our identity, is all kinds of really amazing stuff that can really revolutionize how you live your life. Right. So, I mean, I cannot understate the importance of this. And so you're in the right spot here for sure. And that's why we've called this a presentation Stronger Together. Right. So it truly is stronger together. Jen and myself, we are absolutely thrilled that you are here. And so we have some amazing stuff in store for you today. Okay, so let's go through some basics and then we are getting going. Okay, so all right, so what you're going to discover today, again, we have a lot. We have a lot, so buckle up. And it is recorded. We will send out the recording, so don't worry about that. But the first thing we're going to be talking about is why PTSD, or any kind of trauma for that matter, right? PTSD has like a really kind of a lot of stereotypes and it's not really understood. And, so we're going to cut through some of them, right? So that kind of thing. But why does this create such emotional distance, conflict, and shutdowns in marriages? Okay. So we're going through that big time for sure. How couples can rebuild safety and leadership and connection together as a unit, right? So there's things in like kind of the therapy world, right? Of like co-regulating, really connecting together as a unit, as a couple, and that is a huge thing. So we're not going into that like extensively, but we will be covering that, so that that's an important topic to understand for sure. We're going to go through a practical framework for how to interrupt reactive cycles in real time. I'll be really covering that. Jenna will cover it a little bit, but I'm going to be hitting that substantially in my portion here, where military families and the veterans specifically can really interrupt any pattern of any kind of distressing kind of emotional pattern or anything at any time, anywhere, and get themselves into a much more ideal state very quickly. Okay, so I'm going to teach you the system that I've come up with for that, which will be incredibly powerful. And then Jen will really be talking about the second point extensively there. That is just her expertise there. She's so skilled in that regard. And then we're going to be talking, both of us are going to be talking about the united approach to healing together. When you strengthen the team, when you strengthen the bond, everybody gets better. Not only the marital couple, the kids, I mean, everything just flourishes. So we're going to be hitting on that extensively as well. And then at the end of our session together today, we're going to be talking about some, kind of some next steps, what you can do if you would like to continue the journey. We also have some free resources for you. So make sure you stay to the end for that as well. Okay, so guys, a little bit of housekeeping here. If you're not familiar with Zoom webinars, what I'd like you to do, if you have a question, is put it in the Q&A. Okay, there's a little button on the bottom of your screen, Q&A. You can enter in questions. And so even if we're not doing an actual Q&A session when you have a question, don't lose the question. Just type it in there, okay? And then we will get to it at the next section that we have. We have them kind of sporadically spaced out, which is our first point here. You can also message us as well. You can message hosts and panelists and that kind of thing. But the best way for questions is to log it into the Q&A. That's the beautiful thing about a Zoom webinar. Okay, so that will be that. If there's any issues with that, let us know. We can troubleshoot it, but that should be the way to go. Okay. So we're also gonna, like I said, we're gonna have a bigger Q&A session at the end for everyone, kind of all of our stuff kind of together. Okay. So that's a good one there. We'll just have two smaller ones, one after Jenna's portion, one after mine. Okay. So, and like I mentioned, we do have some amazing free resources that you can download for free. So again, we're going to have those later on as well. So make sure you get that. And then, like I mentioned, there is an opportunity to connect with us. We have some amazing things for you guys. So just stay to the end and we'll talk about that as well. Okay. So, and just a minor note, because of the topic here, because of mental health and that kind of stuff is at play here, you need to understand that this is general information that we're giving out today. Okay. Please make sure you talk with your doctor and your mental health team and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's obviously important. Okay. So we're giving, again, general education, okay, informational purposes only. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Okay, all right. So I would love to. Jenna and I are raring to go here. Okay, so we are excited to get to talk with you today, and we want to introduce ourselves to you a little bit more, so you can really get to know us a little bit more as we are your hosts for the next hour plus, right? We'll see how how we do here from a time perspective, but we should be pretty good on time. But yeah, let me introduce Jenna. I mean, Jenna is honestly, we're lucky to have her here today. She's a number one best-selling international author. You don't meet too many of those in your day. Author, coach, speaker, and really what she focuses on is hope and transformation. Okay, not only in the workplace, by the way, she's a consultant for a lot of employers with their employees and that kind of thing, but military families and specifically military spouses. Okay, so she does amazing work there. I've heard her speak. She's really, really good. So we're really lucky to have her here. She just really just inspires true purpose. Okay, so that's kind of that's the best way I can summarize Jenna. So Jenna, the floor is yours. Feel free to share whatever you would like.
Thanks, David. I'm going to mirror a lot of David's message. We're really excited to be coming to you guys today. David and I work so well together because we do give that different perspective of the spouse's perspective as well as the service member perspective. And I'm really excited today to talk to you about different tools that have really helped me in my marriage to communicate different triggers, different frustrations, and even the joys of life, right? Because sometimes that communication can just come off not in the way that we intend. And that's where a lot of couples struggle is because they're just not understanding each other. So I'm really excited to be talking about some of those tools today. I am also going to be bringing on my husband, Seth, who has used a lot of these tools with me. And so not only are you going to hear from me, you're also going to hear from his perspective how it's helped our marriage, how it's strengthened our marriage, and has been really beneficial for us when we're just trying to say the basic things. But what's the book? Women are from Venus and men are from Mars, I think it's called. That it's true. We're just different. We're wired different. We as women, we're more emotional. We process things a lot different than you do as men. So I'm excited to bring you guys different perspectives on the healing journey of being in the service, being out of the service, and kind of the identity crisis that comes along with that. So I'm really excited again to partner with David, who is an incredible author and speaker, who has United States Marine Corps combat veteran who's been through that. I mean, David, I'm so excited for you to share your story because you've been through the trenches, literally, figuratively, emotionally, and I'm excited for the tools that you're going to share today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jen. I really appreciate that. Yeah, my story really goes back to all the way back to the beginning, right? So I mean, in terms of my military service and I was in high school and I was actually gonna go into the ministry to work in my church, right? And so and then 9/11 happened. I know that kind of dates me a little bit, but I still think of myself as a young guy. You know what I mean? So anyway, so 9/11 happened, and then I basically enlisted. I changed everything, right? But what the Marine Corps did a really good job on was preparing me for Iraq, right? I'm here. I did a great job. Like I did my duty, I did my tours and everything like that. The Marine Corps did an absolutely terrible job of preparing me for what happens next, right? I had significant PTSD, every kind of symptom you can imagine. And thank God that I met and married the wife that I did, my wife Andrea, because she basically was extremely resilient through this, but also her and I developed such an incredible bond through this journey. So I'm excited to share that kind of the journey with you guys and to really what we were able to come up with and what I came up with to help veterans, combat veterans, to absolutely annihilate PTSD. Not coping forever, not managing it forever, eliminating it, right? So, but it involves the couple, it involves the team, the unit, the bond, right? So that's what I'll be talking about in just a few minutes, and absolutely thrilled to do so. So, okay, so Jenna, it is your turn. You are up. Go ahead. I will unshare my screen, and you are ready to go.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this. So Many of you who have been following the journey of Service and Soul was really created for the spouses to have that community, have the support, and honestly just be able to vent if they want to, grow when they are ready to, and go on this journey together. So that's what Service and Soul is all about. As David mentioned earlier, my first book, Service and Soul, is a #1 international bestseller. I've got more coming with Strength and Soul, talking about just life after the military marriage. What is it like either when you separate from the military or unfortunately separate from your service member, or maybe you lose your service member? All of that still creates a sense of identity crisis that we need to know how to process through. I did not know how to. I had to figure it out as I went along, which is exactly why I created Service and Soul and why it's so important to me to share this mission with all of you. So I'm excited for that. So what does healing look like? I love talking to spouses who really struggle with feeling like they're selfish for putting themselves first. So I like to teach some self-ish actions. And the difference between being selfish and self-ish is that self-ish people know how to set boundaries. They know when to say yes, they know when to say no, and they know how to communicate exactly what they're feeling. And that's all we're going to talk about today. Acknowledgement and understanding. Women, ladies, spouses, I know that just like our service members, you guys can tend to put your head in the sand too, shove it down, and hope that it all goes away. And then it rears its ugly head with in the form of bitterness and resentment, and we do not want that. We want to learn how to process through those feelings of resentment, the feelings of bitterness, and really learn how to not only forgive those around us or people, situations that have given us the PTS, but also ourselves. I don't know if you're like me at all, but I really struggled with forgiving myself for not standing up for myself and not having my own back. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, we have to talk about the cycle. This is really, really important. The cycle is what we go through, whether it's through marriage, divorce, PCS, deployments, etc. The cycle is happening in all of our lives on a regular basis. And we're going to go through these steps pretty quickly, but I want to make sure that you understand them well enough to know when you are in the cycle and how you can move through that with ease and with healing. So what is the cycle? Like I said, it's a transition. It can be happy, it can be sad. New job, a child, getting married, getting divorced, moving, going through deployment, like I said. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my backstory. I got married to a service member at the tender age of 19. And like many of you at 19 years old, I knew everything. I knew it all. I had everything planned out and knew exactly how my life was going to go. And it went exactly as I planned, right? No, it did not. I was on track to get my nurse anesthetist license. I was so excited to be in the healthcare field. I had my children, my youngest son, Zachary, as you can see on the bottom left screen, he was born at 23 weeks gestation and has quite the medical history, if you can imagine. He was just over a pound when he was born. He had grade 4 brain bleed on the left, grade 1 on the right. Literally, 4 doctors said, you need to let him go. He's going to have no quality of life. He's never going to make it. And if you do try to keep him alive, you're going to have to spend the rest of his life caring for him. That's quite the transition. And I was only 22 years old. So if you can kind of take yourself back to that age, just imagine the stress and really the fear that I carried with that situation. Also during that time, we had two PCS moves all the way across country. It was actually the first one in my family in 5 decades to leave our little county in Tennessee. So I also shook up our family with a big transition, and that was me taking myself and our children out of the state of Tennessee. So I was just figuring life out. I, again, was going through these transitions, not really understanding what I was processing through as they were going on. So a lot of the transition that can lead to confusion, depression, feeling unmotivated, lacking the desire and the direction. And for me, I just shut down. I completely shut down. I really went into some sort of a survival mode of, I'm going to figure this out one day at a time because that's really the best that I can do. And although that is or was my way of protecting myself, it actually, over the long run, made my life much harder because when you shove emotion down, your body pays attention to that. And whether we are mentally synced up with our body, I promise you, your body is going to speak out in some way, shape, or form to say, hey, you need to deal with this. And so when we have that confusion, you've got to learn how to work through that. So for me, I ended up during my military transition, my husband's military transition, we were one of the many unfortunate people who ended up in divorce during transition. For a lot of spouses coming up to transition out of the military, we think to ourselves, yes, we're going to have a normal life. This is going to be so great. I don't have to share my husband with the government anymore. And we cannot ever miss an anniversary, birthday, holiday, etc. What I failed to understand in that moment was my spouse was about to also go through a very different experience, even though we were having the same transition. Very, very different. And unfortunately, the tools that we are going to teach you tonight, I did not have back then. And that's why it was so important for David and I to really partner together on this because David and I alike, we want marriages to stay together. We want husband and wife to learn the tools to work through the stressors that all of us have in some way, shape, or form. So for me, as I'm working through the pivot, trying to keep happy for my children, trying to make sure that they had a safe space to also go through the processes that they were experiencing. We were talking about perspective. Our children also have their own experience as children in the armed services. They just do. And so as I worked through that, I decided to strip away anything that I thought had previously made me feel comfortable because I obviously was not comfortable. I was in a spiraling mess. And I thought to myself, I have got to learn who I am outside of this role. Because I, like many military spouses, I engulfed myself into my husband's career, and that became my identity. And that's why so many service members and spouses have these huge identity crises. It's not because things have changed, it's because you don't really know who you are. That's what we're working on today. And that's what we're hoping to save you a bunch of time on with the tools that we're going to give you. So once you have that confusion, you recognize that it's that time to stop and say, okay, hold on. What is the meaning of this? Because literally, I'm going to sound so cliche right now. Every single thing that we go through is meant to teach us something. We got to figure out what that is. For me, it comes in prayer. I'm going to get on my knees and I'm going to ask God, what are you trying to show me? And then most importantly, I'm going to be quiet and listen and try to take in what am I trying to learn from, or what am I meant to learn from this experience? Because that is what shapes the future. And so many people get stuck in that moment because they don't know how to do that. And that's okay. I didn't either. But what we're trying to save you from is decades worth of stuckness. We do not want that. Because you have a purpose too, and you have life to share with others, and we want to help you learn what that is. Every obstacle is meant for us to expand. And for me, I was so blessed to go through my healing journey, and it led me to my husband, Seth, that I'm going to call on here in just a few minutes. Seth also is a veteran, 20-year Air Force veteran. I'll let him share a little bit about his story with you. But we met each other, and thank God we had both gone through the work. All the work that David's getting ready to share to you service members, my husband had gone through. So we were able to come together as two whole people that were ready to expand and use our stories to help other people. And we brought our family together. That's our beautiful family on the bottom. That's when I started really being passionate about helping not only service member spouses, but also women in general. At the top right, I helped start a women's networking group in the Nashville, Tennessee area that has exploded to like 5 different states now. It's just expanding in such a beautiful way. And had I stayed in my stuckness, that would have never happened. If I hadn't have asked, what is this teaching me? And really listened and tried to learn through that, none of that expansion would have happened. And that's why it's so important that we go through these feelings even when we don't want to, because your expansion becomes your ripple effect. Whether it's positive, whether it's negative, what we go through and how we handle it is going to drizzle into our families, into our workplace, into our communities, into our health, into our finances. It's all connected together. And that's where a lot of us go wrong, is because we forget that. So that's when we're going to be present. Once we know what the meaning is, then we can really work with that to say, okay, now I'm learning what it is that is meant for me. How can I put this into every area of my life? How can I put this into my relationships, into my job, like I said before, into my communities, into my health, into my finances? And why that's so important, because if I wouldn't have done that, I would not have had the impact with service and soul. I would not be speaking to you right now because I would still be in my stuckness. And that's why I'm so grateful that you've taken the time to join us, to learn these tools, and to really move forward in a positive way, not only for you, but for the ripple effect that it's going to cause for you. Like David said before, healed heroes plus healed spouses equal healed families. And that's what we're going for today. And I'm so thankful that so many of you have joined us and that you brought your spouse, because it's really a team effort. It's a team effort that we're going to work on together. So this is something that I did not create. It's something that I also learned on my journey. It is centuries old. But it's one of those things that once you know it, you cannot unknow it. So I'm just going to tell you right now, those who are watching, once you know this, you cannot unknow it, meaning no more excuses on why you're struggling to show up as your highest authentic self. So I'm giving you a challenge right now. Don't leave, because this is really important and it's really, really life-changing. This is something that my husband and I learned together. It's something that we implement on a daily basis, and it's the different levels of femininity and masculinity, which we all experience on both sides. However, for tonight's webinar purposes, we're just going to talk about using this knowledge when it comes to communication. And I'm going to bring my husband on because this is something, like I said, that we work on together, that we have experienced together, and we have spent time creating the trust between each other as to being able to call each other out, for lack of better words, call each other out and say, oh, hold on, you're not at this level of femininity that you want to be at and that you asked me to hold you accountable for. So we're going to be talking about the little girl and the little boy, the princess and the prince, the queen and the king, and the divine queen and the divine king. So we're going to talk about the core traits of each. So for the little girl is sweet. She's sweet and precious, but she's often misunderstood and she constantly needs to be taken care of. She's needy. She's entitled. She thinks the world owes her everything. Think about a little girl. I just saw one actually on a flight. She couldn't have been 3 years old, screaming, throwing a fit because she wanted to get down. She didn't want to be on the seat. She wanted to be down. And I had a little chuckle because I thought, man, if I acted like that now, how would people look at me? If I didn't get the seat that I wanted and I threw a fit like a little girl, how would people look at me as a grown woman? What we don't realize is we do act like that a lot, just not in the same ways. And that's what tonight's all about. So, little girl, she feels like a victim and she resists growth and avoids responsibility. So it's none of her concern. She wants to stay exactly where she is, and she doesn't need anybody's help. Now, the little boy likes to completely put blinders on and just act like nothing's happening and likes to just bury himself in work or think about video games, these kids on their video games. It's a way of distraction because he's fearing rejection, just like the little girl is. So there's a lot of shutdown, withdrawals, needing that constant reassurance. So think about someone who's really defensive or who feels like they're not being heard or understood, but is longing for that understanding, is longing for that love, and reassurance constantly. So the struggles that they go through, the little girl, she prefers things that are regimented. She wants things to be exactly how they were from the day before. A lot of you who have had children, it's really important to stay on a schedule because we don't want any fits. That's exactly the same with a little girl. If she's good, she'll get rewarded. She'll use coping mechanisms to shut down. Think about, like I said, with the little boy, the video games. Very insecure and lets emotions lead. And as my husband say, you cannot bring facts to a feelings fight. That's where a lot of us go wrong when we're having these misunderstandings with our spouses is we try to bring facts to our spouse when they're in their little boy or the little girl. But up until tonight, we don't know that we're in a little boy or little girl. That's why these things are so powerful and so important to know. Okay, so let's upgrade a little bit to the princess and the prince. Now, the princess, she kind of has this entitlement. Think about Disney princesses, which is what I was raised on. I always wanted to be a princess, I wanted to be waited on hand and foot. You have all the nice things, we don't really have to work for them. And that is stereotypical what the prince is. Very overprotective, demanding, controlling, needs things to be her way, and really has a problem with other female relationships. Now, the prince is taught that you win a battle, you win everything. Like, yeah. And I think a lot of our service members are Prince for a long time because that's how we're prepped up and built up in the military, right? You want to be admired and respected and obeyed. You're the hero. And we should all respect that, no matter how you behave, because you went out there and you went to battle and just way to go. So our prince expects that loyalty and expects to be admired and just really lives with that full entitlement of, I've been doing this for you. And that's where prince and princess start to butt heads. The princess compares herself to others, especially with social media today. Thank God I did not grow up with social media. My goodness, I feel so sorry for our children who have this constant comparison with one another on social media. The princess really struggles with being the know-it-all or having it all together. I mean, hello, I was a 19-year-old princess, knowing better and getting married. But the princess is very conditional in her love. What are you doing for me? How are you showing up for me? Anybody else had disagreements with your spouse where you're like, well, you don't even acknowledge what I do, or I've been doing this for you and you don't even care? Prince and princess. Because that's not really what it's about, right? And that's where we fail when we're in those moments. That's where we fail to understand each other, is because we're stuck in a prince and a princess. And I remember when my husband and I learned these together, I actually heard the traits of each, and I was like, oh, my husband's such a king. I just love him so much. He's such a king. And after we learned this, and he and I are talking, he was like, man, I really saw the princess a lot in you. And I was like, I was so offended. And hello, that is the princess all day. I was so bothered that he immediately thought of the princess. Like, talk about like acknowledgement and needing to check myself. Um, but the prince is also equally guarded. He wants, again, he wants to sit on his throne and earn his kingdom. Um, and is all about him. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing, it's all about him. And he's also going to withhold emotions until you meet his standards. It's a very conditional love. Anybody here relate to the prince and the princess? Yeah, me. All right, so let's talk about the queen and the king. This is what we strive to be. This is something that um, is in so much wholeness. This is where we feel the wholeness within ourselves because the queen knows she's got it going on and she doesn't need you to know she's got it going on. And she wants you to have it going on. It's the best. It's true support for sisterhood to sisterhood and our spouses. Sometimes our princess and our prince can be in competition with each other, and that happens a lot in marriages, and that is not healthy. That is not leading anywhere healthy. The queen understands that life is happening for her, not to her. She understands that everything that she's experiencing is helping her up-level herself as long as she sees it that way. Remember, we talked about going through the cycle and really knowing and understanding why we're experiencing what we're experiencing. The queen does not care what everyone else is doing. She cares about what she's doing, how it's affecting the world, and how she can help other people. And it's very much the same with the king. Very masculine, but sees these challenges as a growth opportunity. We want to up level. That's why you're here. That's why David and I are speaking to you today. That's why David wrote his amazing book for our service members to say, hey, you are a king. And what you went through was meant to teach you something. And I'm here to show you exactly what that is. It's awesome. The king protects without belittling other people. He doesn't need to do that. He's so secure in his kingdom, he doesn't need to do that. Leadership and impact with a queen. She leads with honesty and integrity. Again, if someone's coming at her, she doesn't need to go to their energetic level. She's got calmness. She's compassionate. People are drawn to her. They can't wait to be around a queen because they want to learn as much as they can from her because they feel genuinely supported, loved, and cared for. And the king is exactly the same. He's so intelligent. He takes responsibility for what he does, whether it's positive or negative. And there is something so amazing about that and honoring about that. And men, listen up. When your woman sees you in that role, ain't nothing hotter, promise you. She wants to see a king. She's not looking for a prince. She's looking for a king that uplifts people and inspires people and motivates people and wants to make people feel better about themselves. So how do we awaken the king and the queen? First, it's all about acknowledgement. Acknowledging when you're in the princess. My husband and I, listen, we are going through these levels all day, every day. So make no mistakes that, oh, once I'm a queen all the time. No, we slip in and out, all of us slip in and out all day, every day. But it's about acknowledging when we slip to the little girl or the princess to say, nope, that's not the world that I want to live in. That's not how I want to be recognized. That's not how I want to be seen. So once the queen is recognized, the princess doesn't run the show anymore. We can say to her, "Hey, boo, thank you. Appreciate you trying to stand up for me, but I don't need you anymore. I want to rise." The king pursues success without stepping on others and holds boundaries. He loves with strength and tenderness. His leadership inspires loyalty rooted in respect, not demanding respect, inspiring respect. They embody the real power because it's earned and shared, not demanded, not taken. And whether you respect them or not, they don't care. They don't care because they're so whole within themselves. Now, there's one more quick level, and that's the divine. Now, this is the level on steroids, okay? So for the queen, she's the highest self, honoring all life. She sees her existence as a gift and her influence as a responsibility. So it's no longer, look at me, look at me. It's no, this is my responsibility to the world and this is why I'm here. This is a woman with purpose who's not going to let anything stand in her way. No excuses, no limiting beliefs. She is going for it. She's radiating. People just can't help but want to be around her. She leads with grace. She's got clarity, got intention, and she's got love. And she lives in harmony with purpose because she knows what that is. She knows what her purpose is. And guys, I'm here to tell you right now, purpose is not what you do. It wasn't your military service. It wasn't your support to your service member. It goes way deeper than that. And David's going to talk a little bit more about that later tonight. Our divine king honors all life. He leads with wisdom, humility, and unwavering integrity, carries a quiet strength that makes others feel safe. He commands respect through consistent actions, not demands or posturing, and he has nothing to prove because his character speaks for itself. Again, we're not demanding here. We're coming into the essence that's making people want to be around us, that wants to be a part of our lives and is excited to be a part of our lives as well. So I think that's it for that. Yeah. I'm just gonna see. I don't know if, oops. Uh-oh, I did it. I did it wrong, even though I promised myself I wouldn't. I was gonna have Seth pop on real quick. Um,
Yeah,
let's
Seth can
see.
jump on, then you can just go right back to where you were.
Yeah.
There he is.
But there he is. Okay. All right. Seth, can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, so Seth is my husband. I'm gonna let him just give you a little snippet of who he is, but in talking about how the different levels of femininity have made an impact on our relationship, what perspective can you give some of our service members who are watching tonight?
It's a transition. The transition and well, let me introduce myself first. Um, sorry. Um, so I retired from the Air Force as a TAC P, JTAC, and Air Force Special Warfare after 20 years doing that. And was kind of stumbling through a lot of the life that comes at you in transition, trying to do a lot of healing on my own in different modalities, all while being told I'm broken, and the VA telling us that, and not having really any support after we transitioned, not for us, not for our families to explain, what we were going through, what we were feeling, we were processing. So fast forward to now, and honestly, it one of the biggest things my wife has taught me on top of this is that being avoidant and not attending to it is talking about the stuff is one of the best things that you can do talking with your partner, talking with your family, talking with your friends, just in general about anything that you're feeling, because sometimes you internalize things and they become feelings, they're not actually facts. Um, did you have was there a part that you wanted me to answer a little more in detail or wanted me to elaborate more further on?
Yeah, we're talking about the levels of femininity and how they've helped our relationship.
Oh, yeah. So it's definitely helped in the sense that as a guy, like you're not you don't always have to be in the highest masculine. There's a time and a place for that. You can't always be a Viking. Sometimes you need to be more of a saint, and just understand that communication styles differ between you and your spouse, you and a coworker, what have you. There's no one size fits all answer for that, but there's an ebb and a flow to it. Like I have, big secret. I actually do have a very soft side that sometimes people will see. Jenna sees it more than others, and sometimes that I need that reminder, to basically know that ebb and flow of when it's a time to to be more of a Viking, when it's time to be more of a saint.
Thank you. Well, yeah. All right, guys. QR code is up for my free gifts. I've got more videos, not only on the levels of femininity, but got a really great exercises to help you process through really different things that you might be going through, whether it's really struggling with a relationship, struggling to find out what your purpose is, or really just looking for community. Make sure you go on Amazon.com and get my current book, Strength and Soul, or excuse me, Service and Soul. Strength and Soul is coming out on January the 31st. It's coming really soon. But I really pray that this information has been super helpful for you. I'm so excited to reintroduce David to our webinar where he's going to go deeper into our tools for our service members.
All right, and with that, thank you so much, Jenna. That seriously, guys, those of you that are not familiar with kind of the level of energies and the different roles that we have, and kind of when we go from one to another, it is really a game changer for your relationship, and not just your relationship, but for your life in general, right? Like for example, I mean, Jenna, something that I use for myself, and I have a lot of different archetypes for myself, right? I have like my essential archetype, and I have my different roles that I utilize, and sometimes I need to be the warfighter, right? And I know how to be that role really, really well. But then I also have silly roles with my kids and leadership roles and that kind of thing. So just really embodying that is such a powerful tool and an exercise, and the energetic levels. And it is just so amazing. So thank you for going through that. So all right. So I'm going to put back up on my slides here. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Okay. How am I looking, Jenna? Can you see it? Thumbs up. Okay, great. Okay,
Yep,
guys.
looks great.
Yeah, great, outstanding. I've had like flashbacks of like my PowerPoint slides being in different spots and stuff, and other presentations that I've done. So always gotta be careful. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. So I want to give you guys a little bit about my background. I alluded to it a little bit. So I enlisted when OIF was just kicking off. Like I had mentioned, I left basically my life is in the ministry as like pastor, and I picked up an M16 instead, right? And so I deployed to Iraq several times, went all across the world, a bunch of different tours and stuff, and only 8 years actually. It was amazing how much we accomplished in 8 years. And like I mentioned earlier, what the Marine Corps did not prepare us for was life after this, right? I had so much PTSD. I had everything you can imagine: anxiety, depression. I battled suicide. I had hypervigilance, nightmares, flashbacks. The VA just gave me all this medication, just doped me up. To try to just numb everything, and I was left to kind of pick up the pieces, and it was a rough go. It was a rough go. I was in and out of the hospital twice actually for my PTSD. It was really really intense. I mean everything you can imagine, and my wife was there with me the whole time. Okay, so and it led me to really my darkest, dreariest moment where I was like, either this gets better or I'm out. This is done. I'm not going to continue to do this. I'm not going to live like this. But guys, what was amazing is in the darkest moment. Okay, I'm going to show you some photographs of what I look like in my darkest moment. Okay, through the most challenging times. There's my bride. there was my bride with me the whole time. Okay. And we were stronger. I mean, we're talking, I'm on the floor having flashbacks and she is next to me the whole time. She did. I mean, she kept us going. It was amazing. I just got chills right now thinking about it in terms of the impact. But why? Why we're so many or get disintegrated in terms of their relationships when they're going through these kinds of things and they splinter and they resort to alcoholism and they hurt themselves and they destroy the relationship or their kids are isolated and nobody knows anything, right? Why does that happen versus like stores like mine? And there's others like I'm not the only one out there that's gone through the shadow of the valley of death. Not to be overly dramatic, but that's what it felt like. I can assure you that, and come out with just this amazing resilient relationship that is now tested and and I know for sure will survive, not only survive anything, but just annihilate anything that is put in his path in terms of this relationship. And it's because I created a system. Okay. I created a system that I now use to teach veterans across the country to not only annihilate PTSD, but to come together with their spouse in ways that they may have never thought of doing before. And that's the framework for the program that I've created called Mission Freedom. Okay. And I'm going to walk you through just a piece of this. This actually has a lot of different components to it. So I'm biting off just a piece of it together today. So we're not here all night because I know Jenna and Seth, they're on the East Coast. So I'm on Cali time, right? So I got a little bit more, I can still see daylight outside. You know what I mean? Right? So we're not going to be here all night. So I'm going to take off a little piece of it and teach you guys this amazing system. Okay. So this is a system that I developed. It really connected my wife and I. You saw those photographs. Okay. With that, I mean, was I the happiest I've ever been in my life in those pictures? No, but we were together. Okay. And it connected us as a team. Okay. Which was incredibly important. The system gave us a common language to use together, extremely easy to use, extremely fast and effective. Because when you have flashbacks, okay, those of you that have not experienced a flashback, it is really debilitating. Okay, so and I'm going to go into this in just a couple minutes, but if she were to come up to me and go, "Hey, baby, what can I get for you? Huh? What can I do for you right now? Or why are you being such an asshole right now? Why are you being such a jerk right now? Why don't you come down and be with your family and isolating upstairs?" Like that would not go over well, right? That's not going to go over well. Or even if she had best intentions of, "How can I help you?" Right? I'm not going to be able to answer the question when my fight or flight is kicking off, right? And I'm thinking that people are breaking into the house because I heard something and now I'm getting a pistol. You see what I'm saying? It just doesn't work that way. But typical psychologists or typical those in the mental health field do not understand this and they don't typically do not communicate in this way. So that's why I came up with a system that really pulled us together. Okay. And it really, the system, you develop these predetermined strategies of how to resolve any symptom, anytime, anywhere. And no, I'm not exaggerating. Okay. Even right now, just examples. And even on this presentation right now, I've created anchors for myself. I have different things that I can do, even when I'm speaking to resolve this stuff. Not that I have it anymore, but in theory, I could if I needed to. That's how powerful this system is. You can use it anytime, anywhere. I don't care if you're in an airplane or if you're a crowded, music hall. Makes no difference. Okay. So that's the basic of the system, but it also connects you with your spouse. Okay. So this mission freedom system, as it relates to this, let me give you some basics. It's built on something called SUDS. Okay, so those in the mental health space that have spent some time there know or may have heard what a SUD is. A SUD is a systematic unit of distress. Okay, so that's what it is. It's basically a measurement, and I'm kind of a math guy, so I like to measure everything, right? And I use this very much in my other businesses that I operate. It's we're always into the financials and all this stuff, but you've got to measure it, right? So if you're not measuring it, you're kind of like, I don't really know how I'm feeling. I don't really know what's going on. I don't really know what I'm doing, right? And I don't know what to do, right? Because it's very confusing, right? If you don't have a predetermined method of attack, then you're going to get really lost and confused, right? Seth, I know when you're doing your duty, just like I was in mine in Iraq, we had our muscle memory responses to what's going to happen. We know what we're going to do, right? Where we have all these things drilled for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of hours with our units. So we're operating like a well-oiled machine, right? It's the same thing here, except when guys leave the service, they don't typically take that same methodology with them. It's the same. You can deploy the same things that made you successful in Afghanistan, Iraq, or Vietnam, or wherever you deploy, right? Desert Storm, it doesn't matter, or wherever we fight next, right? Maybe it's Greenland. We'll just see, right? So, right? So no matter where we go, okay, we're gonna use the same methodology, okay, to when you get out of service or even when you're in service, because I had PTSD when I was in service. I just didn't know it. It was so covered up because I was with my unit. I was with my brothers, right? Once I was out of that, everything just kind of, I all of a sudden felt everything, right? So, but anyways, that's how that's the some of the basics here. We're gonna go into the basics of this system even more now. Let's take it a step further. These are the basic concepts that are so critical for the success of this. Okay, so number one, different kinds of symptoms require different strategies. Okay, this is a huge mistake that so many people make is like, all right, well, I got to do deep breathing and I got to do deep breathing. That's all I got to do. I'm going to do it. I feel something. I'm going to do it. Right. Deep breathing, for example, right, or cleansing breaths, that kind of thing, is more helpful for some than others, right? That's more helpful, for example, for activating symptoms like anxiety than depressive symptoms. It's different, okay? So there's different strategies for different symptoms. Number two, like we alluded to, every symptom you're going to rate on a scale from basically 0, which would be obviously be 0 symptoms, to 10 is the most extreme, like we're going to the hospital, right? So it's on a 0 to 10, okay? And it's important to understand that cognitive abilities significantly decline when symptoms are increasing. Okay. And this is, again, something that is not understood commonly by the mental health space, or it's not deployed by typical therapists. They're going, you need to talk it out. You need to talk out your symptoms. Like, lady, I can't even see straight right now. I am so wired right now. How am I supposed to talk it out with my spouse? Makes no sense. What I need to do is dunk my head in a cold, freezing cold bucket of water. And that's going to reset my nervous system. Now I can start to get myself down, right? So I'm going to elaborate that a little bit, but it's really important to understand between, for both spouses, different strategies for different numbers, different strategies for different kinds of symptoms, okay? And the mission freedom, basically strategy it involves that, okay? All right. And then it's a really critical, one of the basic things, basic tenets of this is you have to deploy this system the second you feel something, okay? Or spouses, for the wives or husbands, right? Whoever is the non-veteran spouse, basically, when you see something, okay, and you see something going on, you're going to deploy the system immediately, and you're actually going to have the words to say and what to do, okay? So that's why this is so powerful, okay? You're going to know what it looks like and what to do for any level, any kind of distress, anywhere, anytime, right? It's incredibly powerful and impactful, but it will bring you together. That's the powerful magic of this thing, okay? Because you're going to know what to do as opposed to, this guy's freaking out. I don't know what to go. Like, I don't know. He's just acting like an asshole right now. Well, actually, anger, irritability, and frustration is a level of distress, right? It just is a lower level of distress, and some guys use it all the time. So it's kind of hard to tell. Right, but I digress. Let's keep going. Okay, so all right, and then basically we're like I said, we're gonna keep going until this is absolute 0. Okay, all right. So let me break this down to you in terms of the actual system, in terms of the numerical system, and how we basically do it. And I've got pictures. Okay, I know some guys, they really like to see the pictures, and it's a lot easier for them to understand. Don't worry, I got you. Right, but for those that are really good at analyzing numbers, here you go. Okay, I try to make this simple as possible. Okay, so number one, and when you're starting off, this is when you can use what I would refer to as intellectual analytical. Okay, when you're out of, again, 10 is extreme distress, like we need to go to the hospital, like we're in an absolute complete panic attack, I'm devoid from reality, right? That kind of stuff. 0 is, just sitting there on the couch, right? So when you're in a 1 to 2 range, this is when this stuff will work out well. Okay. If you've heard of cognitive behavioral therapy, that kind of stuff uses a lot of this kind of stuff. Dialectical behavioral therapy uses this kind of stuff a lot, right? Kind of challenging, right? Is it really true that I'm in danger right now? Is this really somebody outside? Is it dangerous to have someone behind me right now? Not really. Not really. I'm fine. It's just a family member, right? Do I need to patrol? That kind of stuff. So you're a very low level though. Okay. Very low level. You can start to use almost putting it on trial, right? Kind of questioning it, teasing it, making it look stupid. That kind of stuff, but it's intellectual. Okay. Now, The next level is in the 3 to 4 range, and that's when you're going to use more calming, but a little more physical type stuff, right? Now you're talking scents, oils, there's weighted blankets that can be very effective, deep breathing, musical stuff. I actually created, when I was going through my journey, a healing journey, I actually made a little corner in my bedroom, really super comfy chair. I had a picture in front of me, what I would refer to as my safe space, and I had all these things around me, a little sand, a box of sand where I can, again, feeling texture, different senses, that kind of stuff. So create like this entirely soothing environment for me. I go in there for 5 minutes and then get your ass back downstairs, right? Be with your family. Don't just hibernate up there, you know? So that's 3 to 4, okay? 5 to 6, this is when you can start to really get into visuals, which what I just described in my little corner is a great example of how you can use visuals, right? So you're going to close your eyes, you can meditate, you want to see, put yourself into this safe space. There's a lot of other ones, or Band of Brothers or something is another one that I came up with, where you're visualizing, whoever makes you feel safe. It could be Superman, Batman, or members from your unit, makes no difference. They're coming around you, they're protecting you, and you can feel that safety of them all around you. This is a visualization strategy, and there's many more just like it. Okay, but these strategies, again, are only effective though at about the 5 to 6 range. When you go above that, you're not going to be able to see it. You're not going to be able to really focus on it. It's not going to be effective. Okay. And then when you go 7 and above, then you need to, it is all bets are off, right? We are going to obliterate this symptom, because now we're talking extreme anxiety. We're talking like paranoia, right? Like some intense stuff, right? Intense depressive symptoms where you're just completely shut down. It depends on what kind of symptoms we're talking about. You need to douse yourself in water. If you got a pool, you got to throw yourself in. I don't care if you got clothes on, it makes no difference. You're going to shock the system. Try doing 50 burpees, okay? 50 burpees in 50 seconds. Let's see if you can do it, right? If you don't get it done, at least your symptoms will be eliminated. Try being anxious after 50 burpees. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, right? You're going to be so exhausted, right? Unless you're some Lance Armstrong guy or something. But even then, I'm thinking 50 burpees will tire that guy out, right? If you got a bag, like a heavy bag, I love the heavy bag, right? Whether you like boxing or not, who cares? Beat the crap out of that thing for like 5 minutes, no breaks. Hold your breath. Really, just you're wailing on this thing, it will completely deplete you and it will reset your nervous system. So when you're feeling panic, you do that, boom, it's over. Okay. So these are some examples of some strategies you can employ from 0, no distress, where you wouldn't actually deploy anything at 0, from a 1 basically all the way to a 10. Okay, so this is what you need to do. The more extreme the symptom is, the more you have to shock the system. Okay, something called TIP is a little acronym: temperature, intense exercise, progressive muscle relaxation, etc. Right, so there's an acronym for the intense stuff. Now, note to yourself here, you can do a level 5 strategy at a 2, and you just want to annihilate it, right? Or you just, I just want to do 50 burpees. I don't really feel that anxious. I'm going to do them anyways, right? You could do that. It'll absolutely annihilate your symptoms. But if you use the lower level stuff at a higher level, it will not be effective. It will not, right? You, like anyone who's experienced a flashback, and you start thinking to yourself and go, let me think about this. Is this really going on right now? No, that is completely ridiculous. It's not going to be effective. You need to dump yourself in cold water. That's the gold standard for resetting your nervous system. Okay. So that's some of the basics, right? So now what you do in the system is you need to start to identify where you are at on the scale. Okay. This scale, just an example. Okay. So this is where it gets really powerful. Okay. So you got a 0 to 10. And then you're going to start, what I would do above the number, okay, is what do I look like? Okay, so now your spouse can help you figure out where you're at, because you may not know. You're like, I have no idea. I'm jacked up. I'm jacked up. Maybe use more colorful language, right? I am really hurting right now. Like, well, I don't know what a number is, right? So you're going to put indicators above the numbers. Fast breathing. I'm pacing. I'm starting to hyperventilate. I'm freaking out. I'm looking all over the place. I'm wandering around. I'm doing whatever. That's more on the anxious side. The depressive side, I'm laying there. It's 6 o'clock. I don't normally lay around, but I'm laying on the couch not doing anything. Chances are you may be experiencing depressive symptoms. Maybe you just want to relax. But when you start taking naps at 6:30 at night, unless you've been up for a 15-hour jail yard shift or something, you know what I mean? You may be experiencing depressive symptoms, right? So you basically put indicators of whatever it is on the depressive side, if you feel depression or you experience depression, or on the anxiety side. Really, you want both. Okay, so no matter what you're experiencing, you have indicators for what the symptom manifests itself. So now you can look at the scale, but if you're tweaking out, your spouse can go over there and go, Boom. I know where he's at. I know where he's at. Okay. So, and then you're going to have predetermined strategies on that scale. Okay. So you know what it looks like and what to do. Even if it's not perfect, go to a high number and work your way down. Okay. Without fail, that will crush it. Right. There's no way jumping into a freezing cold pool at 2 o'clock in the morning is not going to handle it. Okay. It's going to handle it. Right. And then you can work your way down. That would probably get you to a 5. And then you start to do visualizations after obviously you dry off, right? Or you get a shower, you put it on your head. I mean, cold water is an absolute awesome thing for dealing with distress, okay? Or if it's depressive symptoms, you would use warm water, okay? It does different things to your nervous system, okay? So, guys, the reason why, and I've kind of alluded to this already, the reason why kind of asking questions of what's wrong? What's going on, right? How are you doing? It's from well-meaning spouses, well, in my case, my wife, what's going on? How can I help you? All these different things is because when I'm at a 5 or above, my nervous system is firing off intensely, right? I don't know what's going on. I could even communicate it to you if I wanted to, right? So that's where we came up with the next system. So even the most well-meaning, loving response will not be effective, okay? Again, the nervous system will not allow it, okay? You are shutting down because it's a biological thing. The nervous system is to keep you safe, right? Back in the day, fighting off all, saber-tooth tigers or whatever, right? This is built into our bodies. It's a survival mechanism, right? Problem is with PTSD is your body thinks something is dangerous that isn't actually dangerous. Okay, that's a huge problem, right? So, I can speak to that at another time, but this will help you. It will not remove the PTSD, but it'll allow you to get to 0 level of stress at any time. Okay, so that's what we're talking about today. Kind of going through rewiring the nervous system is a whole nother class. Okay, so here's the basic strategy, guys, for when you are either talking to your spouse that is a veteran or vice versa. Okay, but let's pretend we're doing this. Okay, so all right, so the first thing you're going to say is, hey, Jenna, can you unmute yourself? It's a lot easier if you do this versus me talking to myself.
Yeah.
So let's pretend you're the first one. Okay, let's just walk our way through it. Go ahead.
Hey, babe, what's your number?
Yeah, oh man, I'm probably a 6 right now. I'm freaking out right now. I don't know what to do.
Just
All right.
breathe. I'm kidding.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then we would basically, guys, what you would do, you go back to this. This should be on the wall. On the wall. So I just said I'm a 6. All right, great. And then Jenna would suggest, David.
Visualize a campfire with your wife, with me.
Now, Seth's right here, Guys, okay, with Andrea, right? So yeah, visualize your campfire right now. I'm gonna visualize it, right? I'm gonna get in my chair, I'm gonna visualize it, maybe put a weighted blanket on myself. I'm gonna get in there, right? Set the music up, right? Because it's all right there. That's you know what I mean? So that's basically how you do it. And then, all right, let's check back in 5 minutes, and I'll go back to the slide. Okay. Where's your number now?
Where's your number now?
Yeah. Why don't you try this, right? And I would basically answer, you know what? I'm feeling good. I feel a lot better. See, even my communicating, I'm doing better, right? I'm at a 3. I'm at a 3. I'm a 3 right now. Okay. Well, just kind of going back to the slide, I'm just not going to flip back to it. Well, what is it true that you're really, let's think through it, because now we're towards the intellectual, right? Like, is it really true that, that this is really distressing for you, or that you're really in danger? No, not really. I just, what? I heard the washing machine. Good, thanks. I heard the washing machine and it sounded like a gunfire, and it's not good. It's not a gunshot. It's not a gunfire. It's also a dishwasher, right? All right. And then you keep going, guys, until distress is 0. Okay. That's the magic. All right. So thanks, Jen, for playing along. All right. But that's basically, guys, how you would do it. Okay. And then it come back. And like I've already elaborated, you have symptom indicators and strategies. Okay. And you want both of these. One for anxiety, hypervigilance, panic, and then another one for dissociation, isolation, depressive symptoms. Okay. You would have one for each. Strategies are very different. Okay. We're not going to get in all the nuances now. It's a little bit beyond the scope of this webinar, but that's what you would do to build out this system to cope at any time, anywhere. Okay. And you could get really, when I was doing this, I got like 1.5 to 2.5. I mean, I got super detailed on this. I would know exactly where I was. boom, how to handle it. And I could do it very quickly, but it took a lot of practice to get there. Okay. So guys, a key thing I want to end on for my portion here is when you're doing this stuff, it is you and your spouse against the issue. Okay. Treat the issue like an enemy. Okay. It's gonna you trust me. Seth, when you have an opponent, if you can unmute yourself, Seth, when you got an opponent, you got a target. How much more does that focus you and help you?
Yeah, you know what your mission is.
Yeah, that's a big reason why vets get so hurt when they leave active duty. They don't have a mission anymore. They don't have the brothers. They don't have the system, right? So this gives the veteran this. It is us against that. We're basically attacking the depression, the anxiety, the whatever, right? We're attacking. It's us. We're linking arms against that thing. That was one thing that made it helped my wife and I to such a degree is this concept right here. And then have fun, guys. Have fun and name your team. Okay, you can name it anything you want. Make it silly. Who cares, right? No one's really gonna know, right? And then you just keep practicing. You keep practicing. It's good to dig some practice fires on this thing of like right now, like, oh man, I'm really okay. Hold on. All right. I see you. I see you. What's your number right now? What do you feel? And you're like, oh, I don't know. Just guess. What number do you think it is? You practice it, right? Or man, I'm doing this, and it's just going through it. Okay, so then when something does happen and you hear something in the backyard, the trash can falls over, and your veteran husband in this example is tweaking out, right? Hey, what's your number right now? Right? Slow them down, etc. Go through the process, get them all the way down to zero, right? There you go. And now you are now together. And I want to also add celebrate. Okay. With your spouses, celebrate. Okay. We just kicked some major ass. Boom. High five, hug it out, kiss, love on each other, whatever, because it will also reinforce your nervous system. This is a good thing. This is a good thing that we just did right now. It will wire yourself to love it. Will absolutely love it. The more you can celebrate, the better. Okay. It's a huge system in how to really conquer and win this stuff. Okay. So, guys, any questions? Any questions right now that we have? I know we haven't paused too often here, so I want to take a moment here. If there's any questions, put it in the chat, and then we'll go ahead and knock them out. So,
Hey, David, I see a
yes.
question here from Anita asking, what does a spouse do if she's also agitated and she's not caring what your number might be?
That's
I can relate to
awesome.
that a little bit.
Yeah. What happens if we're both triggered? Well, guess what? Now we get the opportunity to co-regulate. I mentioned that earlier, right? When you're soothing, I'm soothing. When I'm soothing, you're soothing. Guess what? We could both do 50 burpees. Hey, Jenna, let's have a race to 50. Let's see who can get to 50 burpees faster. Maybe you and Seth can do it, right? You guys go both do 50 burpees, right? Who can get it? Basically, you got strategy A and strategy B, right? So you can make it a game. Have fun with it, play with it, right? So, hey, I see my number. I'm going to get mine down faster, right? Or you just basically have to get really good at looking at your chart and deploying it. Okay, you have to deploy it. Okay, or all else fails. I mean, I felt myself shutting down, even for myself, right? By myself, I felt myself shutting down in some intense stuff, and I would just walk into the shower. I would just walk in the shower by myself. Or sometimes my wife is like, "Clunk, in you go, clunk, cold water on." You know what I mean? But when she is experiencing it, I'm going to do in reverse. And if we're both tweaked out, then guess what? We can do it together, but we have different strategies for it. So if you don't have someone helping you through the process of what's your number, let's try this, and then come back, then you guys are basically having fun with it, doing it together, right? So there you
Yeah.
go. Hopefully that's helpful.
And I would definitely add that, kind of like I said earlier when I was quoting Seth, you can't bring facts to a feelings fight. And sometimes it's okay to just take a minute.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of times as women, we get offended. I'm a poker. And what I mean by that is if Seth wants to take a minute, I'm like, no, let's talk about it right now. Let's talk about it right now. Let's talk about it right now. And I've really had to learn how to be okay giving him a minute, not talking about it immediately, and just taking that space because words cannot be taken back.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
also would say you need to have an agreement with your spouse on maybe some, I'm thinking Q words, but I'm blanking, but basically on a safety word where it's like it just jolt your system and you just know, oh, I just need a minute. And for men, just so you know, for your women, reassuring them, I still love you. You are the love of my life, but I'm walking away from you right now because I need a minute, will go a long way.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. I love what you said there about the take a minute. Okay, because one of the first, this is I'm being serious here. The first lesson I ever learned in basically handling kind of my journey, right? And kind of the first lesson that I learned was basically you need to pause. Okay, even a second,
Mm.
right? Because that pause, that brief, we're talking I keep on referencing the washing machine in my house. That's because that thing seriously terrorized me for years. Right? Because it would fire off. Oh, boom, right? Holy crap. And I would seriously jump up and I'm immediately looking for a weapon that I don't need. You see what I'm saying? But if I can just pause just a second, right, from that reaction, now your brain is going to come in. It's the difference between your defense system and up here, right? So when it comes to trauma and that kind of automated response, right, it bypasses your brain. And so we can pause that thing just a second, right? It's going to allow the forward thinking part of your brain to start going, wait a minute, that was a dishwasher or that's a washing machine. That's not someone breaking into the house. And now you've now regained control. So I love what you said there, Jenna. There's so many different ways to apply that stuff. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, great. Well, Jenna, were there any other questions? I was kind of in the zone here.
Yeah, you're all good.
Okay,
I do have
sounds good.
another question here from Kiara asking what you do for spouses that don't understand triggers. So,
Mm,
what I'm guessing you mean by that, Kiara, is what is it? How do we know what the trigger is what I would guess.
interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I
I
think
think
Jenna,
that's
you
another agreement conversation. Honestly,
yeah,
I would say just, I want you to still talk on this, David, but I think from
yeah,
a
go ahead.
spouse perspective, we need to know um, basically your basic triggers, right? And again, maybe it'd be helpful to have again like a safe word or a sentence to be like, now we know, because I know for me sometimes I won't even know if he's triggered and I'm just just like going on and it's not for any malicious reason. It's just I'm not paying attention.
Yeah, yeah, no, you bring up a very good point. We may not always be attuned to each other, right? And so that's part of what brings together the marital team in ways that you may have never done. Is like, wait a minute, we're going to attune to each other. We're going to connect with each other. We're going to have that intimacy together, even through some incredible, dark, challenging times. Absolutely. Right. You can be that connected, that attuned, and be able to co-regulate each other, right? Because Jenna, like you had mentioned, just because I had a therapist that told me, David, just because you have PTSD doesn't mean you get to be an asshole. I remember that to my day, and actually, my wife reminds me that very poetically at times. Just say, David, just because you're a veteran doesn't mean you get to be an asshole. I was like, guilty as charged, right? So, but anyways, the point is we get the ability and the opportunity to connect with each other, whether one was in service or not. Guess what? The military spouses, that's a deployment. That is a hard charging deployment in all by itself to be at home and that kind of thing. And my wife went through it when I was over in the Philippines doing some really cool stuff. And she planned her wedding all by herself. I came up and just showed up, right? I mean, it's like how amazing are military spouses and this kind of stuff. It's incredible. And so we get the ability and the opportunity to honor one another, to see one another, and really get an opportunity to understand one another. And really, it's like, hey, guess what? We're going to play a game of trying to learn about each other and get connected, right? So it's kind of how if you gamify this stuff, now it's not like a problem. It's like you're having fun with it, right? That kind of stuff. And then once you can pick up on what's going on, now you can start to deploy these other tactics, right? So that's how I kind of let's not take each other so seriously. Kind of laugh a little bit and enjoy this a little bit. And that will bring you together in ways that you could not have even imagined, right? That kind of stuff. So awesome. So let's keep on going, gentlemen. Make sure we have enough time to get to the end here. So this is guys, if you want to connect with me, This is how you can do it. My mantra is simple. We're going to annihilate PTSD, and I do this with vets all across the country. It's about living free, and living at a much higher level for the entire family, right? My kids were affected by my former PTSD. It wasn't even mine, right? It's just something that I experienced. That's another thing. That's a whole nother lesson of itself. Don't say mine, right? When you say mine, you own it, right? So it's just an experience, right, that I had. I've annihilated it. I replaced it with joy and freedom. So that's what I do with vets all across the country. So my handles are on there. I'd love to connect with you guys here. So, and here's my resources. Okay. So just take out the phone, take a picture of that, whatever. Got some great resources on, keeping pushing forward with that freedom, keep conquering, winning, all that kind of stuff. There's so much stuff on my website, my handles and stuff. Got a lot of training and all kinds of really cool stuff. So you can check all that out. And then, anyways, feel free to message me. I got even more. Right? I just got a little bit of them here. But what I want to hit on next is Jenna and I, what we talked about today, this is the tip of the iceberg. This is the tip of the iceberg. Is a small portion of what we teach, right? The mission freedom system, speaking from my end, is an entire framework to take someone who can't even get out of bed and leave his house, who's getting so activated and triggered, to absolutely dominating and winning every single day and conquering, right? And then having the level of relationships and connection and intimacy that they would have previously thought was impossible. Right. That's what I do. And I know Jenna, I mean, she is all over the place in terms of all over the country and just working with people and just building, the absolute freedom and passion, identity and joy and all with the businesses and everything. So this is a tip of the iceberg in terms of what we do. And so our clients that we work with, and it's just such a passion for all of us, including Seth with all of his things that he goes on, is the people that we work with have lifelong transformations. I mean, absolute, complete freedom and connection, right? They've reclaimed their true identity and their true power. And that's just such a joy for us in seeing the transformations with that. So if you would like to talk about this, basically, if you want to move forward this and kind of experience this and continue the journey here, and you need any help in regards to this and getting this kind of transformation, basically what Jen and I have is we have individual and group training programs. Okay, this is really cool, powerful stuff. It's a lot of information and assistance and guidance in a short period of time, so you can get a lot of results in a very short period of time. Basically, what these programs look like is it's a 6-week training program. Okay, it's a 6-week. You meet with us once a week. Again, we got individual and group options. Okay, so you're going to learn these strategies at a much more level. I mean, today was just a snowflake on the tip of the iceberg, right? In terms of the different things that we have that we've developed. So when you go through these programs, there's the systems, the strategies, the techniques that we teach you one-on-one or in a group setting. When I say one-on-one, it's with the spouse, right? You can bring your spouse in there together. So it's really the two of you guys together. That's the way it should be. And the outcomes that you're going to get through going through this program is you revolutionize your relationship in ways you would have never thought possible, right? You're going to work towards completely annihilating PTSD and replacing this with where you should be. Peak happiness, peak freedom as a couple, right? Where you do not need to have this old stuff that's hanging on from whatever deployment it came from. It needs to go back there and not be in your life anymore, right? So there's all kinds of really cool things that we do for people, and that's what we came up with, this really cool program for you guys today. And it's like I said, it's a 6-week program. So we basically want to honor your time here together with us today. We typically offer these programs for the cost that you see on the screen of $5,000 for an individual program or $3,500 for the group program. And we have event pricing, which is something we've come up with. Thank you guys for spending your time with us together today. We basically have knocked off 15%. We've got a really amazing opportunity here for you guys, so you can see the kind of the numbers on the screen. And this is just a way of us for getting this information to you at a much more affordable rate and that kind of thing. So if you want to take advantage of this and really continue the journey, there's not really any catch. Okay, I want to just a lot of people ask me, David, what's the catch? If there is a catch, is that we just need to know, right? We've got kind of things reserved for you guys, and we've got seats at the table ready to go for you guys. So take advantage of this if you would like. If you'd like to do it, you can put it in the chat. Just send us your information. You can message directly to panelists, your contact information. We just need your name, number, email, that kind of stuff, so we can reach out to you. What we'll do is we'll follow up with you. We'll send a confirmation email, and then you're in. And then you're going to be learning developing these strategies and these systems with us the whole time. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, please put that in the chat, and then we will reach out to you again. If it goes straight to hosts and panelists, no one else will see it. Don't worry, your information is completely private. It only goes to us. Okay. So that's that opportunity for you guys. And either way, whether you take advantage of this opportunity or not, we hope that you've gotten a ton of value out of this today. And this is just one way that we continue this conversation, okay, in terms of the training programs that we have. So I think we've already covered the Q&A. I don't think there's any other questions. I think we're good. So we'll go ahead and skip past this and just honestly, thank you so much for attending together today. We hope from Jenna, myself, and Seth that this has been incredibly valuable for you. And just take these tools, deploy them, and then if it feels right for you, then please reach out to us. But that's what we got for you today. Thank you for attending.
Yes, thank you guys so much for attending, and just know that David and I are here to support you, whatever that may look like for you, whether it's in our training programs or just an email to ask us a few continued questions as you start to process through the information tonight. We'd absolutely love to have you. We'd love to have your spouse. If you have friends that did not make it on the call, we'll honor it for them once they watch this webinar. If you've got a couple that just popped in your head and you're just like, oh man, this would be really great for all of us to do together, make sure that you send them the recording link that you will receive after this call, so they can not only get the free nuggets themselves, but hopefully join you in our group coaching program as well, and just
Yeah.
start up leveling together as a couple and as a community.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you'd like to reach out to me, feel free to, I'll put my email here, david@warriorsawakening.com. That's my email. Send me if you got questions. Jenny, you want to give out your email if you have something for them that
Yes.
they can, something? Because I don't think our emails
Very
are out
simple.
here.
Jenna@serviceandsoul.com.
There you go. There you
We
go.
look
Guys,
forward
you
to
got
hearing
everything
from
you need.
you.
Okay. All right. I'm going to turn off the recording. Thank you so much. That concludes our session for today. Thank you.